Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here with me today is the Xpeng G6 Long Range. This color here is in Arctic White, so I'll show you around in a moment, but let me just show you guys the color first of all. It's a pearlescent white, really sparkly. What do you guys think? I think this car color is really nice. Anyways, enough of that. Let me tell you more about the car first. So this is the long range. So as I said, it's the top spec. There's only two variations that you can get in the Xpeng G6. You've got the standard range, which is from 54,800 plus on-road costs, and then you've got this top spec here, which is from 59,800 plus on-road costs. So this car is from China. It was launched last year, and pretty much no numbers have been reported to date as far as I'm aware, but hopefully numbers are reported soon. Other quick things I can tell you guys besides the price is that it is essentially what was dubbed originally as the Tesla Model Y killer. So yes, it is about 4.7 or just over 4.7 meters long. It really will be competing against things like the Tesla Model Y, the BYD Sea Lion 7 and the Kia EV5, just to name a few. Alright, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to take you guys around the car. We're going to look at the boot, we're going to look at the inside, we're going to look at the frunk, we're going to go for a drive, we'll talk about charging, we'll talk about everything else, things I like, things I dislike about the car. Other than that, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you do give this video a like, subscribe for more content, and make sure you also hit the notification bell icon so that you get notified every time I drop a review, I talk through the news and anything else. Alright, let's have a look at the outside of the car. So let's start at the front. So this is the front of the Xpeng G6. So you can see that it's got dynamic indicator lights that sweep as you lock and unlock the car. And it does also make a little bit of a sound when you do lock and unlock as well. There you go. So anyways, what do you get in the front? So you can obviously see some parking sensors down over here. You've got the camera right here, more on that later. It's also a very flat design. You know, you don't see lots of bulges everywhere, so it really will perform well on the aerodynamic side of things. It's just daytime running lights where you saw the indicators just then. I'll just lock the car again so you guys can see. So it's pretty much does two things. It's got the daytime running lights, and then you've got the indicators as well through that bar, and then down over here you've got the actual headlights over there, and then of course tow hook at the front. Now swing through to the side, you will see Michelin Pilot Sport tires. So these are Pilot Sport EV tires. They are 255/45 R20 at the fronts, and then at the backs you will see they are also 255/45 R20. So same wheel across all ranges, and Michelin Pilot Sports EVs, so a very good tyre indeed. Now other than that, jumping back through to the front, what do you see? So you've got the Xpeng logo over here at the top, along with, believe it or not, dual cameras. So look at that, you've got one over here and you've also got one over here, and I'll show you what they're used for a bit later. Then following that, you've got your side mirror over here. Car's locked at the moment, so if we unlock that you'll see that it does fold out. And you will also notice that there is also another camera over here as well, right there. Then you've got your two door handles. They do pop out as you unlock the car. So once I lock it, you'll see that actually all closes in. Now, because I've just got the key only, there is no actual auto unlock or unfold for that. So I can't actually just go up and open the door. However, I have been told that if you do have the Bluetooth app on your phone, it does automatically present to you, and you can just pull open the door upon walking up to it. But with the key, you cannot do that, and you do have to unlock physically with the buttons over here. You will see there isn't actually any privacy glass in the car. I've got a shade over the other side, but the glass is pretty much the same on the front and the back. And then also on this side, you've got the charge port over here. We may as well look at that. Let me unlock the car. So to manual push, you can also open it from inside. And then you've got this one here to close it, and then you've obviously got your AC, DC, including a cover as well. And then we'll just close that. Also around the side over here you can see Xpeng badge. They really want people to know it's an Xpeng, being a new brand in Australia. Alright, and swing around to the back. So you can see that the car really is kind of curved and then just drops down at the back. Really almost like an egg shape that goes across the top and down over here. Now what else you get? So it's sort of like an inbuilt spoiler over here. The good thing with this car as well is there is a hidden but tucked beneath, I don't know if you can see that on camera, it's a bit bright over here, but there is actually a rear windscreen wiper over there. You do have brake lights over here, and then 2 cameras, believe it or not. So you've got one right here, and then further down you've also got one right there. And of course you've got your Xpeng badging across, including G6 designation over there on the bottom right, parking sensors. And then come around to this side, so charge port we've seen on the other side, so there's nothing on this side at all. Alright, so to open the boot, there is a button down the bottom over here. Now it is an electric tailgate, and the electric tailgate is actually on both versions, on standard range and long range, which is fantastic, and you just hold that depending on what height to adjust it as well. So this is the boot space you're working with. I'll put on screen the size in litres for the entire boot, with seats folded up and also down as well. Now what do you get inside? So you can see there's a parcel shelf blind over here, so it is manual retractable. So that's how much space you have if you do use it, and it isn't see-through, so it's solid, so it blocks out light as well for privacy. Other things as well, you've got your subwoofer over here, and then that's pretty much it. There is a little bit of storage that you have over here to put something flat, and then you've got actually 2 sub boots. So I'll move this one out of the way first. Over here you can see there's a sandbag kit, there's random things in here, but you can essentially put cables in there. Otherwise on this upper one you can see I've got here my granny charger, my Tesla granny charger, and a type 2 to type 2 cable. There's emergency warning triangle, also high-vis vest as well, and tyre repair kit. There is no actual spare tyre in this car at all, unfortunately, but that's the same with a lot of vehicles. So anyways, that is the boot. The other thing as well that I forgot to mention is down over here you do have a power outlet. So just to the side, 180 watt 12 volt right there. Let's have a look at the frunk. So opening the car, down the bottom over here says 2X, so pull that twice and let's see what we're working with. So it's just a lift up after you unlock the latch. That'll slowly lift up itself on the gas struts. And there you have it. That's basically what's underneath the frunk. So unfortunately there is no storage officially. It genuinely looks like you do have some space that you could potentially have something here, even if it's to put small cables, but either way, officially from Xpeng there is no storage in this car as well, and this is everything you see from the front. So my question for you is, without a frunk, is this a deal breaker for you or not? Either way, since no frunk, let's have a look at everything else this car does offer. Alright, let's have a look at the inside of the car. So starting with the door, you'll notice that they are frameless. So they are double pane though, which is fantastic. So hopefully you can see that. It is pretty quiet car. And then in terms of the side, what do you see? So no brand designation for the speakers at all. You've got your usual button controls over here, and this is the button to exit the car. It is electronic as well here for you guys. And then swinging around, most importantly, let's look at the seats. So this is what we're dealing with. Same seats in both ranges. This is sort of like an off-white color. They are heated and cooling, and I can confirm they are very, very comfortable. Also, that's your controls for the seat itself, front, back, up, down, lumbar support. There is actually lumbar support just on the driver side. There is nothing on the passenger side, but unfortunately it isn't controlled over here. It's missing a button over here to control lumbar. You have to do that from the screen, but more on that later. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Let's get in. I'll show you guys the steering wheel, everything else around. Alright, we're in the Xpeng G6, so let's pan around from the side to side just so you guys can see what we're working with. Starting from the right. So basically you've got aircon vents over there, over here, and also over here. You've got your main screen over here. You've got a mirror over here that does auto dim. You've got a couple of buttons up the top over here, including hazard lights as well. You've got some speakers on both sides, here and over there. And then of course you've got mirror with lights as well. And they are LED lights, which is fantastic. Also, in terms of safety, you've got your driver attention warning system or sensor over here. So it's actually not a part of this section here, which actually makes the car look very clean. I like it. There is no heads-up display in this car at all. And on the dash, what do we see? So you see the drive mode that you're in. That also changes to the speed that you're going. Also tells you lane cruise control or lane keeping control. The speed in which you're going in for cruise control details, along with picking up the speed limits, percentage and WLTP rating in terms of range. This screen here we can change to maps and other things as well, as you can with the other side, but at the moment it's just in the car itself because we're in park. You also do have some general statistics over here, or some general stats about the vehicle, along with temperature and time as well. So I've put my foot on the brake and I actually put it in drive. Let me show you guys what you see on the screen. So you can see this is pretty much the lane in which we're in. So it's sort of like a virtual map of the car. By default, you can also see it over here as well. And then jumping back to here, as I said, that now it shows you that D is over here along with 0 kilometers per hour. I can put it into reverse and then you see that turn into R as well, along with the speed. So we're still in sport mode over here. And then the car says ready to go. Some other things you can see or change on the screen. So if we actually hold down either one of these scroll wheels, you will see that it says here smart drive mode, and then you'll see dots on both sides, which means you can actually switch between the modes. So let's start off with the right side. So you can see here's the consumption details, tire pressure, that's your speedo, you've got music, a map of where you're at, and then back to that. And it's the same thing on the left hand side, so you can pretty much change everything. So it's interchangeable between both sides for whatever details you want and or need. And if you move the speedo away from there, it does show you all that information at the top over here in the middle as well. So it's not to say you have to have the speed on the left hand side, it does show you elsewhere as well. Otherwise, in terms of this middle screen, so we just need to use the left and right here to switch drive mode. You can switch to map mode as well. So that's actually quite handy for you to switch between either one if you need. This mode here is probably useful if you're on the highway doing cruise control, because it does help you see where the lane is following. It's just a little bit nicer. Now for this car is always on. There is no power button, but you do have your usual gear shift lever over here between park, drive, reverse, neutral. You pull it down once to activate adaptive cruise control, and then you pull it down twice for Xpeng's X-Pilot, which is sort of like your autopilot version, or autonomous driving. Other than that, as I showed you guys on the steering wheel, you've got left, right buttons here, you've got the scroll wheel here. It's the similar concept for both sides. This here mainly is for your music and to mute the sound as well. Over here you've got that one there is a shortcut for whatever it is that you want. I've mapped this to the cameras, but more on that later. This one here is Xpeng's AI. So, you could turn this on by just pushing that button and then giving it certain commands to like turn up the heating, turn off your cooling seats and so forth. You could do all of that through this, which it actually has worked quite good. Other than that, by default, if you are not in cruise control, these do have different settings. If you do scroll up and down, you can see the temperature over here. Easy adjustment for the fan as well. If you go left and right, fan speed equals air volume, I guess. So very intuitive. I like that. Very, very well done from Xpeng. Okay, what else do we see over here? So you've got 2 phone chargers over here, 2 wireless phone chargers, that is. You do also have fans here to keep them cool. You've got 2 cup holders, which is fairly deep. It is on the smaller end, so you definitely cannot fit any of your bigger bottles here for sure. So something I'm not too keen on, but nevertheless, at least you can put coffee cups there. Then you've got a big storage section over here, so you can see that's how far it goes. So it's pretty deep. And then down the bottom over here, you've got some additional storage as well. Let me just fix the camera up. So there you go. So you can see a full-size tissue box is back here. That's how much space you're working with at the front. And you can also see you've got some additional charge ports over here as well. Now, onto the driver's side. You'll notice that you've got a lot of space over here. However, there actually is no glove box over here. So this car does not have a glove box at all, but you do have big storage under the armrest over here. So that's just something to note. Anyone who has heaps of storage and usually put stuff over here and also in your side compartment, you'll need to know that you do lose out on that. You do need all your storage here, but the thing you do gain is a lot of space over here in the front. So that's pretty much everything in the front in the Xpeng G6. Any questions, drop them down in the comments below. Otherwise, let's have a look at the back. Now in the back, I've actually got 2 kid seats in it at the moment, so I'll show you this version with kid seats and I'll show you with one without, and then I can show you how much space there is inside. So for the parents with 2 kids, this is what we're playing with inside. So you can see you've got a full flat subfloor, a full flat second row, which is very, very good in terms of spacing. Now that there is based on my height at about 172, so that's how much space you've got inside, which is actually really, really good. And in terms of the kid seats, this is how much space they're taking up. Remember, pay attention to the driver's side. This passenger side I've pushed a little bit forward just so I can show you guys the space. So I've just come into the front seat just so I can show you guys how much space there actually is inside the car. So obviously it's very difficult to fit a third adult in the middle. You could possibly squeeze in a child, or I guess a much thinner person than myself in the middle row. And that's essentially the space that we're playing with on the inside. So still heaps of legroom, especially with kid seats in there. No complaints from mine as well. And yeah, let me get a kid seat out and I'll show you guys the space that we're playing with for an adult. So you can see it's fairly nice, fairly similar design to the front. The out ones are also heated as well, no cooling unfortunately, and the middle one misses out on everything. So still got your ISOFIX points, which are great, and it is quite soft material, so quite nice and plush. So let's get in and I'll show you guys how much space we're dealing with. Alright, we're in the back of the G6. So I don't know if you can see this, but there's heaps of room. Heaps of room. 2 fists worth over there. You can see I'm quite comfortable. I'm not going to bang my head in any way, shape or form. You know, I really have to lean over in order to do that. And that's pretty much it. What do you guys think? You happy with it? Look at the leg space actually. So remember, I am 172. I'm just moving the camera down. So this is me sitting normally. This is me stretching out to the point where my ankles are getting uncomfortable stretching out, just to show you guys. But this is me sitting normally. And don't forget, that side is me sitting in my driver's seat position. So you can tell if you map that across over there, you're still going to have plenty of space. Alright, other things you have. Map pockets over here. You've got speakers all around the car. You've got some there. You've got some around the top that you can see as I pan around the car. Also the nicely, it looks somewhat tinted glass roof. Also on the side, you've got grab handles. You've also got LED lighting over here, which is great. And then if we have a look over here, this pulls down. There is no pass-through, unfortunately, but then over here, if you push that, you do get 2 cup holders as well. So definitely for the smaller bottles. You can definitely put coffee cups, but no bigger bottles. So I'll move that back. And then the great thing with this car actually is on this side. Hopefully you can see that button right there. Let me flip the camera around. If I pull this, I can push back. Look right here. I'm actually reclined back. So look how much further I am than this seat over here. So I'm actually leaning back right now. Really comfortable. See that? So we've got quite a few levels of adjustment, which is great. No complaints from me. Definitely quite comfortable. And that covers everything for the rear of the Xpeng G6 Long Range. Any questions, as always, drop it down below. Also, in regards to folding the seats down, so there's a latch over here. Fold straight down. And that's how much space we're working with. So let me show you from here. There you go. So that goes all the way out through to the back. So remember, it's a 60-40 fold. So 2 sides there, 1 side over here. And this is what it looks like from the boot. So in terms of safety, this Xpeng G6 is a 5-star NCAP rated safety car. So absolutely safe. Now it's got dash cam function. It's also got Sentry mode, similar to what you've got in a Tesla. Then you've got a whole lot of other safety things as well. So let me show you guys. So in the driver assistant section in the car settings, start at the top. Active safety, driving and parking. So X-Pilot, you'll see forward collision warning. You've got sensitivity, obstacle avoidance assist during startup. Lane support, so lane departure assist, emergency lane keeping, lane support system sensitivity, blind spot detection, door opening warning. Then for the rear collision warning, rear cross traffic alert, reverse collision prevention, driver drowsiness warning, driver status monitor, speed limit assist. A whole lot of all of that stuff. And as I said, the dash cam and Sentry mode on top as well. So heaps and heaps of safety functions for this car. Alright, so let's talk range and charging. So 2 variants in this car. You've got the standard range and the long range. In terms of WLTP rating, the standard range does 435 kilometers and this long range does 570 kilometers WLTP. That is quite impressive. Now, let me show you guys. At the moment, I'm on 37% state of charge, which hopefully you can see through here. And it's saying I can still do 209 kilometers. How's that? For a vehicle of this size, to have a car that can do that much for long range, 570 WLTP, easily 400 something towards 500. It's really impressive. Now, in terms of battery size, so you've got the entry level, the standard range. It's got a 66 kilowatt hour LFP battery, and then this model being the long range has an NMC battery which is 87.5 kilowatt hours. So it's about 21 kilowatt hours or 21.5 kilowatt hour difference. Now in the standard range you've got 66 kilowatt hour LFP battery, and then in this long range spec you've got an 87.5 kilowatt hour NMC battery. Both cars can charge at 11 kilowatt AC for 3-phase, which is fantastic. There is no difference between the specs, even battery chemistry, so I really like that. In terms of DC fast charging, even the standard range is quite impressive. Standard range can do DC charging 215 kilowatts. But what's even more impressive is that this long range, 280 kilowatts. It's crazy. Like, you know, for a sub $60,000 car to get speeds like that is, it just makes it all the better, especially if you're on a road trip. 10 to 80% charge for DC, of course, should take about 20 minutes on either variant, which is fantastic. And the car also has V2L, so 3.3 kilowatts power, so you could pretty much power a lot of your home appliances if you really needed to. to summarize it all, standard range 435 kilometers with your 66 kilowatt LFP battery. Long range 570 kilometers with your NMC 87.5 kilowatt hour battery. You've got both fast charging at over 200 kilowatts, both do AC 11 kilowatts. So pretty much minor differences in terms of the key important aspects. You've got really fast DC charging as well. So my question to you is, which one would you guys get if you haven't purchased one already? Also, in relation to charging, so you guys may have seen, if you haven't, I'll tell you guys right now that this car traditionally or previously could not charge at Tesla superchargers. There has been proof that it has worked at a V3, and I've recently also shown this to work also at a V4 supercharger. And so watch this space. It's obviously happening soon. There's lots of things happening, and it is going to be working with superchargers, or it's going to be progressively rolled out, followed by potentially sometime in the near future official statement from Xpeng once that is all done. But I can confirm that it's been tested at one site for the V4 supercharger in New South Wales at Alexandria. And I have seen on Facebook that some people have successfully charged at V3 superchargers as well. So it is a step in the right direction, but it isn't official that you can charge absolutely everywhere. We're probably waiting for users to actually go and test them right now. So, you know, if you do own an Xpeng and we haven't seen the confirmation yet, do test it out and let people know, because I think that was one of the things, or one of the downsides on why a lot of people were kind of swaying away, not necessarily swaying away, but they weren't persuaded as much to purchase the car because of long distance road trips, that it wasn't compatible with the Tesla supercharging network. And on that note, in terms of charging for the car, if you use the stock maps for the car, it does help you map out the charging stops if you are driving somewhere really far as well. So that is definitely a positive. Not all cars do that. Some of the other cars, literally, if you use the stock maps and you navigate to, say, for example, from Sydney to Queensland, it'll just say you don't have enough range, but it doesn't help you map out all the stops. This one actually does, which is actually a good start, and it does head you in the right direction. Now, let's talk the differences between the variants. Now, for some brands, they like to have heaps of variants, 4, 5, you name it. And then, you know, you get different trims or different equipments for each one. The thing I love about the Xpeng G6 is the fact that a lot of it you get across the range. A lot of it is standard. You just get it, which is great. You know, it makes it easier for the consumer to compare. So, there are a handful of differences between the variants, and we've covered that off in the battery and charging. And you know what? That's pretty much almost all of the differences. On the exterior, you can't tell the difference. The wheels are the same. You get the 20-inch wheels. The front bumper is the same, the rear bumper is the same, all the colour accents are the same. You get the same colours between the ranges. You know, it's all free, it's all included. You pick one and that's it. You know, you can't tell the difference. When you're driving past for some cars, you know, you see there's a long range badge or a standard range badge. None of that exists for Xpeng. But there are some differences, as I said, and let me talk you through them now. So, I'm leaving this side of the screen free so that I can actually show you guys what they are. But let's go. So, first things first, power. Standard range, 190 kilowatts. Long range, 210 kilowatts. So, 20 kilowatts difference there. In terms of battery, so you've got the standard range with 66 kilowatt hour LFP battery. And the long range is 87.5 kilowatt hour NMC battery. In terms of range, 435 kilometers WLTP rating on the standard range and 507 kilometers WLTP rating on the long range. AC charging, no difference, which is fantastic, all at 11 kilowatts AC. DC charging, you've got 215 kilowatts for the standard range, and then you've got 280 kilowatts in the long range. And then the last difference, believe it or not, that's literally all there is so far, is your 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, which is 6.6 seconds in the standard range and 6.2 seconds in the long range. Both cars are rear-wheel drive, so really your 0.4 seconds really is to have that increase in power delivery through your NMC battery. Alright, let's talk price and ownership / warranty. So, as I said earlier on, the two versions, you've got the standard range and the long range. The standard range is $54,800 plus on-road costs. The long range is $5,000 more at $59,800 plus on-road costs. Now, in terms of ownership and warranty, by default, Xpeng gives you a 5-year warranty on the car and an 8-year warranty on the battery. Okay, so what you see on the screen is the new web page that's been recently updated for the Xpeng G6 warranty. So as you may know, as I said earlier on, the Xpeng warranty was originally 5 years for the car and 8 years for the battery. They recently finished up their end of year deal, which was the extended 5 years and the extended 2 years for the battery, meaning total of 10 years for each. So this new page essentially talks to the fact that they are still offering 10 years warranty, however it is now paid. So definitions of warranty is all at the top over here, so I won't read that line by line, so just pause the screen here if you want to take a look at that. The main thing where you should be interested in is for the batteries, which is the key parts. To buy the additional 2 years warranty, so to push it to the 10 years, it's $1,990. And then there's all the different configurations that you can buy or you can have as part of the whole vehicle warranty, so the main vehicle warranty. So as an example, if you want to buy 1 year, it's $690. You want to buy 2 years, it's $1,290. So they are roughly $600 increments per year, with exception of moving from 3 to 4 years. So from 1890 to 2390, that's about $500, and in between all the other years, you're looking at $600. So what does that mean in total? So what that means is, if you want to buy an Xpeng G6 today, regardless of a standard range or long range, if you want to extend the battery warranty to 10 years, it's an additional $1,990. And if you want to enter and buy the whole vehicle warranty, that's $2,990. Now, the bit that I'm not too sure on is this something that you could purchase afterwards or not? Because my recommendation is, if you want to buy the extended warranty, to buy it after the purchase of the vehicle so that it's not part of the on-road costs. So therefore, you are paying for exactly what the price is, and it's not any percentages after that as well. So my big question is, if you are getting 5 years for the car and 8 years for the battery only, and you don't have the 10 years included, would you still buy this car? Time will tell in terms of the stats, so hopefully these numbers are reported soon, and we'll get a good idea of how many cars they're actually selling. Question that everyone wants to know is this a good deal? This spec at $59,800 plus on-road costs. After driving it for pretty much a week, my view is this is absolutely a bang for buck car. It provides a lot of value for what the car is, and it is definitely a car to consider. Is it the absolute best car on the roads today? I don't think I can say that about any car, to be honest, because every car has its I guess perks and flaws as well. But my view is, ultimately, if it fits within the budget, you should absolutely consider this car because it delivers a lot for its money. The one thing to, I guess, watch out for, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, it's more of the fact that there isn't too much feedback on it yet, because remember, Xpeng is still a new brand in Australia, even though it's well known overseas, is the after sales service. So for Xpeng Australia, it's distributed through True EV, and then all the after sales service side of things is managed through UltraTune. And so that's obviously been managed by a third party. They are still a fresh brand here in Australia, Xpeng, and so I'm just saying tread with caution, because I haven't seen too much feedback as yet, whether you're talking about positives or negatives for people having their car serviced from Xpeng at UltraTune. So watch this space. If you guys are interested in more, then let me know in the comments below. I'm an active person on the Facebook groups for Xpeng as well, so I'll be happy to keep you guys posted in terms of how that goes. But either way, as I said, it's absolutely a bang for buck car. You should absolutely consider it. There's nothing in particular that I guess would say, let's call it a deal breaker for the car. There are things that I don't like, and there are things that I like, which we'll cover off in a moment. But overall, as a package, it's definitely something to consider. Alright, it's time to talk about a couple of things I like and I don't like about the car. So the first thing I don't like about the car is lumbar control. So you do have lumbar only for the driver, and you do have to actually adjust it over here. So it's actually quite a few buttons that you need to push in terms of adjusting it, and then once you actually get into here, then you can actually hit that, and then you can adjust on your scroll wheels over here. Why could we not just have had a button next to the seat to adjust it? So if you can already adjust the seats, you should be able to adjust the lumbar too, but you have to go through all of the menus to do that. Then, if you go back to seat, you can adjust the seats here. and then you push that, and then that for lumbar. I would have liked it if you just had like lumbar somewhere over here at the bare minimum, but even better would be the actual button, since I could adjust my seats over there too. Now, this is the driver's seat, so jumping back, you'll see here that the passenger seat actually misses out. You can go adjust, and there's nothing over here, so they do miss out totally on lumbar support. And if I jump back, so you can actually have different seat memories for the passenger, so you can actually hit rest, which opens it a lot more. You can do relax as well, you can rename it and so forth. So that's all well and good and quite helpful sometimes, but lumbar is what gets to me, and why is it just for the driver? The next thing I don't like is actually in terms of driving and auto hold. So when you are on one pedal driving, which regen is called X pedal, and you have auto hold on, the car doesn't come to a complete stop unless you put your foot on the brake and then it actually holds. So I'll show you guys that a bit later, but basically what that means is when the car comes to a stop, you do need to step on the brakes for the car to come to a complete pause. Otherwise, the car will actually either roll backwards or roll forwards a little bit, and you'll see it on the speedo later until the A pops up for auto hold. So it's not a true one pedal driving experience, because you do have to actually step on the brake pedal to let the car enable auto hold. It should come on auto hold once you're already come to a stop, without pushing the brake pedal. Either way, that's just my personal opinion and my experience on it. If you guys have experienced something else, then obviously it's different to me. Let me know in the comment box below. Next thing I don't like is auto lane change. Why isn't it always available? There's been plenty of times on the highway where it's very, very obvious that I'm on a multi-lane highway, that auto lane change isn't available. So there's a little pop-up on your dash screen that actually shows you guys when lane change or auto lane change is available. Then when you do push it, it is on the slower side for it to work. You know, you just soft indicate, so just push it down once and then it waits a few seconds, it indicates, and then it moves out. So not as fast as I'd like, but it does work flawlessly when it does work. But the question comes back to, it only works when that logo is there, and it's not always the case. It did work a couple of times on the highway, on the M2 or the M4, I forgot which one. But most of the other time, on our recent drive down to Canberra and back, it really didn't work half the time. So I don't know why, but software fix definitely could fix that, and it did work well when it did. But the question, based on my test right now in June 2025, is something I dislike, that it's not always available. So we've got our wipers on high at the moment, and if I pull down twice, X-Pilot driving LCC unavailable, wipers active. There you go. So why Xpeng? Why is it that the wipers are linked to your cruise control or your X-Pilot? I think you should remove that. That's not something that I think people need. Another thing I dislike is Apple CarPlay is full screen in this car. So it's really annoying. Like really annoying. You can fix it actually. So if you don't use Apple CarPlay, now I don't know if this works for Android Auto, so for anyone in the comment section, please let us know if you experience the same problem. This problem does not exist if you don't use Apple CarPlay. So let me show you guys what I mean. Alright, so let's go to map. Let's now navigate to let's just say Brisbane for argument's sake. Okay, let's just say we're starting. Okay, now this is the map. It's all well and good. You can also adjust this across to have your real-time VR assist and whatnot as well, which is fantastic. You can also adjust the volume here. You can adjust your cooling fans, or you can tap this over here for easy access. And you can go back to the map. Now you can actually set so that the map shortcut is over here, but it's not done at the moment, so let's park that for the time being. Either way, you can adjust and you can do different things all along the bottom here at any point in time, very easily, along with checking the map, following directions, aircon adjustments, music adjustment, volume, and so forth. Right? Okay, now let's go to Apple CarPlay. So you'll see this gone full screen all of a sudden, right? Straight away. And let's go search, and let's just search and say we want to drive to the Southern Highlands, okay? So you can see this is all well and good. You don't have the split from the other screen, but this is full screen, which also means my aircon controls are all gone. My volume controls are all gone. So for the passenger person who wants to adjust music or change aircon controls, you can't do it easily. Even as the driver, I can't do it easily. You know what happens? So right now this is centered, right? So when you're driving, this all moves and everything. But let's say I want to change volume. I can change it here through that, no issues. But if I want to switch fan speeds, I can only do it here when I'm not in Autopilot or Xpeng's X-Pilot. If the passenger wants to do it though, you need to, tapping this doesn't do anything, it just brings up the menu at the top. So you have to, you see that bar, you got to swipe up, right? And then you see it, and then you can adjust here or you can adjust here, and then you can go back. The issue with that is you've now swiped yourself off the center screen. So when you're driving on a highway or you need to turn a lot and whatnot, or you just want to do it quickly, you have to then tap the screen again and then go to recenter. And so if I want to change volume, or the passenger wants to change volume, swipe up, you've moved that away now, you're not centered, hit the volume, change volume, tap back into this one and hit recenter. Really, really annoying. And on that note, the second part to this is the volume adjustment is actually too much. Can we just keep it simple? I just want easy access to change the music. The navigation and all of that stuff should be in separate settings. You know, we don't always need to adjust that, or only have it changing once we're actually actively using it. For example, if the navigation voice is on, we can change it there, that changes that. If music's on, we change volume there, it changes the music. What do you guys think? Are all of my concerns or dislikes valid or not? Either way, let me know in the comments. Alright, things I love. Let me start by the display. The display is so intuitive. It's so quick, like look at the maps. No lag. I can move that. Move this car around. Swipe from the top. That's another thing I love. You've got all these options, just swiping from the top. Quick adjustments for everything. Really, really good. But look at the colors, look at the screen, like it's all really, really, really nice and intuitive. Next thing I like is the 360 camera. So you can see there's actually 4 parts to this, and then a 5th screen or section over here. This section here is split into 2 parts because you may recall at the start of the video I showed you guys that there was 2 cameras just where the Xpeng logo is on the front fender. And so you can see that this is pretty much your 360 view around the car over here and then on each side. You can also just look at the front only as well, which shows you each side here, and then you can also go to 3D as well. And look at that, you can actually swing all around to see everything around you. And then if you tap that off and you tap that, so you can see that there, and then you can also tick each individual one. So if I tap the left one, that's on the left, back, right, front. Look at that. What do you guys think? I think it's pretty amazing. And you've got additional settings over here, which is all of these here. And best thing of all is I have mapped it to this quick button over here. So whenever I'm driving or you're driving through a tight spot, you just need to click this here and it brings that up and you can see wherever you're driving so you don't hit any curbs and whatnot. So fantastic, fantastic feature. Another thing I like about the car is the fact that it's rear-wheel drive. Yes, it's not all-wheel drive, and ideally I would prefer if it was all-wheel drive. However, for a rear-wheel drive car, it actually drives fairly well, especially being an SUV. You know, when you are driving it, you do feel the push, which is fantastic. And yeah, it doesn't feel too floaty. It is firmer compared. If I had to put on a scale between a lot of the Chinese vehicles I've recently driven, this is probably on the firmer side of things. Still nowhere near as firm as the outgoing Tesla Model Y, but it is a car that drives fairly well. So on the streets, day-to-day driving, you'll like it. Absolutely not a performance car though. It's a shame we don't have the G6 Performance. Fingers crossed, and cross your fingers for me if you guys are watching. I'd love to see the performance version in Australia one day. The next thing I like about the Xpeng G6 is just the fact that as an overall package, it's such a good proposition. Yes, there is always the fact that you'll not know how the brand is going to perform in Australia. That is a risk that you'll need to take as a potential owner or as an owner. However, for what the car presents, what you get, the range, the performance in terms of the battery charging and everything like that, and it's got V2L, you know, it's honestly sub $60,000. So a little bit over 60 for drive away, but there's not many cars that can do all of that at that price point. I mean, 280 kilowatts for DC charging. Yes, you have to be on extremely low and you do have to find the charger. However, fact is, it can do it. And, you know, when I was on about 40-something% from memory, it was borderline 180 kilowatts, like flat charging for a good 10 minutes. I was there for a short stay, but it was pretty much around 160 to 180 most of the time. So even at a higher state of charge, it still charged very, very well. But yeah, as an overall package, I think it's absolutely something to consider and to put it on your list or to shortlist for your next car if it's an SUV that you're after. Alright, so that was a bunch of things I liked and disliked about the Xpeng G6. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with any of those and why. I'm sure there are other reasons as well. Just remember, whatever your opinion is, I respect that. You should respect mine too. Everything here that I've built to tell you guys is obviously based on my experience driving this car for less than a week, right? So there could be things that I've done wrong and I've got wrong, but it's just my experience in this limited time driving and testing this car. Either way, hope you guys found that helpful, and as always, I'd love to just present the facts to you guys based on my pure experience, and hopefully you guys can, I guess, generate your own views and thoughts and feedback on it as well. And then hopefully, whether or not you consider this car, you know, ball's in your court, but at least you guys know everything about the car. Okay, let's do a quick infotainment walkthrough. So home is the default. Basically, you've got a couple of directions you can swipe. So nothing from the bottom, nothing from the left. If you swipe from the top, you've got some quick functions for the car. So pause the screen there if you guys want to have a look at that in more detail. But generally speaking, these are common things you may want to change. Swiping to the right brings open this real-time VR assist. Tesla owners will find that fairly common or fairly familiar. And you can open the boot, charge port, lock the car straight from here. When you put the car into drive, you will see that this turns into your virtual lane. So it senses everything around the car. You'll see other cars over here. When you're on cruise control, you'll see the bar light up over here. Then you push this button over here so that you can start searching for a parking spot for Autopark. I'll put the car back into park just to talk you guys through the rest of it. And then whilst you're in split screen, if you tap on each one, so for instance here, you can see that you can switch that for other things as well on screen. And when I move this back over here, again, you can do the same thing. So if I tap those three dots, I can switch whatever it is I want over here as well. Jumping back to the home screen. Top, you can see general details like the time, Bluetooth, percentage, dash cam as well, so you can activate that if you've got the hard drive plugged in. General settings on the bottom for aircon for the passenger, for the driver. You've got volume controls here for everything that you can think of, every single sound. Fan speed, all the apps, camera, music, car settings, Apple CarPlay, home, and then music. Now all of these are customizable by just holding that down, and then you can see that it does this little wiggle dance here, so you can pull down whatever you want as well. Fan settings I think is quite straightforward. You can see there's PM 2.5 on board filter, so you can actually push that and it purifies all the air. Air conditioning settings is actually split between seats and steering wheel and your normal aircon. So I've got cooling seats on at the moment, which is fantastic. 3 settings for your heated steering wheel, which is also really, really good. And as I said earlier on, you've got heated seats in the back as well. Then over here also, you can actually see that that's blowing vents here. These ones are off. You can tap that on to turn that on as well. And you can adjust wherever you want. And you can see that you can also do free vent, you can do one way, you can also do sweep as well, and look at it, it swings around everywhere. So that's all pretty cool. There you go, left and right. Then you've got rear as well, so you just turn that on. Unfortunately, you can't swing that around everywhere like you can for the front. But nonetheless, you've still got all of that there, and you can turn it on off quite easily as well. Now, back in the apps, so settings we'll go through in a moment. I think real-time VR assist I've shown you guys, aircon I've shown you, map is just the map from before. And as I said earlier on, when you are in the map, if you are navigating to a far distance, let me actually show you guys. So this is navigating through to Brisbane, and I'll just move this through to the side to make it full screen. You'll see it says insufficient range over here. So if I push the charger icon here, you'll see it's looking for charging stations along the way, and then it's actually mapped out everything for me. And the map doesn't look too bad. I haven't used it through the week as I've been using Google Maps. And you can also see insufficient range to reach stop 3. So I don't think it's been perfected, but at least it tells you, and you can actually add additional stops on the way as well. So it's a good start. It's heading in the right direction. Other than that, some general settings that you can see here: Bluetooth radio, phone. You've got mindfulness base. So look at that. After activating the mindfulness, the seat will automatically adjust to a comfortable position and return when it's finishing. So I won't turn that on. You've got X Combo, which is actually pretty cool. So you can actually run, I guess, different things based on certain tasks or features. So, you know, low power on low battery, ambient lights and more auto off with range shorter than 50 kilometers, AC auto off once temperature hits the right level. So different things to run once it hits certain thresholds and so forth. And it looks like these are recommended, so it's potential that, you know, these are all from other users as well, potentially. So this is all pretty cool. I don't think I've seen that in any other car at all. Then you've got sleep space. Okay, so I presume this just helps you sleep, maybe with some ambient noise and whatnot. So I'll just close out of that. Camera we've gone to. DVR is the dash cam, but it's not currently plugged in. Wired casting, look at that. You can plug a HDMI in and you can pull something on here. Now I don't have anything in particular, I don't have an adapter to actually plug something in, but it looks like you can do that. So hopefully someone can test that and let us know how cool it is. App Store to download some stuff, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Spotify, browser. That's pretty much everything that you have over here. Let's jump through to some car settings. So vehicle health at the top, you can see some energy stuff, 2.5Ks, 20Ks, 100Ks since start. This is the total for the odometer, and you can reset 2 different trips. You've got front and rear wiper maintenance mode, trailer mode, rescue mode. Door and window settings, so you can actually adjust the windows and open charge ports and everything here. Pop out handles on unlock. You've got welcoming settings as well, so look at this, you can actually welcome the driver and the passenger so that it's easy entry and exit as well, and you can have different sound effects over here if you'd like. You've got some additional window settings that you can see here, and you can do trunk fold memory, so it's good that you can do it from within the cabin as well. Following on, some light settings, so you can adjust your headlight over here, headlight control, intelligent high beam, which is auto high beam on and off, which actually works pretty well. The one thing though, it turns on pretty well, but it doesn't turn off pretty well. It still does, unfortunately, blind some cars for a split second before it realizes. Then next one, seat settings. So you've got two settings over here. So this is for the driver. You can actually set this two memory settings to extend the seats out. You also can adjust it over here, which means whatever you choose to do, it actually can change the actual seat as well. And you can save that here quite easily. So we'll jump back. Then you have the same thing for the driver. You can adjust all the settings here. You do also have your lumbar support, which is over here as well. And that's all done through the scroll wheel. Next, in your drive settings, so Eco Standard Sport Individual, you've got launch mode to get extra 10 Newton meters of torque. Then all of your other settings here, X pedal for one pedal driving, steering wheel shortcut, as I said earlier on, I've mapped that to a 360 camera, and some additional controls over here. Next down, we've got real-time VR assist, which is essentially only two things: driving risk alert sound and preceding vehicle starting reminder. And then we've got driver assistant, which is a whole lot of safety things. Pause the screen as I go through if you want to see something in particular, but lots of safety stuff. A couple of driving settings and a couple of parking settings. That's it on the infotainment front. Any questions, drop it down below. Alright, let's test out the Autopark. So on screen over here, down on the bottom right, you can see a little P icon. So basically, you need to push that button as you're going slow, and it starts to scan everything around you. So you can see over here, two spots in between the two cars on my right. I'll drive around a bit more just so you can all see. Now I'm seeing the same thing over here as I am on my dash over here. And it says, a parking space is found, please stop if you need to park. Okay, so there's a car here to my right, so I'll come to a complete stop. Then we just need to select whichever one we want. So hopefully you can see in that camera there's a blue Hyundai over here. I'll tap on this one, and then it said, if you need to park, please apply the brakes. So stepping on the brakes, and let's go start Autopark, and then release the pedal to start. So here we go. Not doing anything at all. Not gonna lie, that was pretty good. Not gonna lie. If we go 360 camera, look at that. It's actually parked really well. Now that was with a car next to me. It is vision based, so let's go drive and we'll test an empty section. And you can see these 360 cameras, how useful they are and how high quality the image is as I'm driving through. So imagine you're in a tight spot. How good is that? Alright, let me get out of this and let's go back to Autopark, turn that on. So again, it's doing its scanning everywhere. And let's do two more tests. One with the left side, how I've got some spaces. Now it says parking spot is found. So let's go a bit further up. Let's see if it scans any to my left. There we go. So please stop the vehicle. Then we select the spot. So this one is just a parallel spot to me. So start Autopark. Let go of the brakes. So I want to come back somewhere here. So remember, the car is doing everything itself. I am not touching anything at all. And I like how it actually puts the steering back to the middle. That's pretty cool. My OCD would hate that if you didn't align the steering wheel again. So let's open the 360 camera. There's the gap on the side, there's a gap on the front and the back. What do you guys think? I think it's honestly done an amazing job. One last test. Out in the open, no spots, and it's going to park in the side. So let's go back to home. Let's turn on the auto park and let's indicate, let's go in D and let's indicate out and let's go. Okay, let's park in one of these spots here. So we'll come to a stop. And again, remember, it's quite intuitive. Pick whatever spots you want. So let's pick this one back here and hit start auto park and let go. So that's done. Let's open that. So in my eyes, this last test, I would say that's a fail. It's not directly centered in the middle. It's a bit too much to the left to my liking. Should we try it one more time? Let's go one more time. Let's put it into D. Home, turn on auto park. All right, let's drive around. Let's give it one more chance and see how we go. Alright, let's park in one of these spots on the left. So we'll come to a stop. That'll do. Much better. Much better. This one was a little bit more further to the right, but either way, I think it's definitely much better. Would I use it? You know what? It actually reversed pretty quick. I think I would still be comfortable driving myself, but every now and again, it's a cool party trick. That's just my view. Anyways, that is the Autopark. Very, very fast. It's probably the best one that I've seen so far. Okay, so we're going to go and have a look at what it's like in terms of driving between Eco, Standard and Sport. So power response, power steering, brake pedal feel is currently all in Comfort. Then we'll go Standard and then we'll go Sport for all of them. For Regen, for all of them, we're keeping it on X pedal just to keep the test, I guess, a bit equal amongst all of it. So Eco is the first one, so let's get going. First things first, steering is super light. Like extremely light is probably the words I'd be using. Now as we pull out here, let's see if there's any lag on the pedal. A little bit, and let's go foot down. Yeah, definitely takes some time getting to the speed limit, but you know, being an EV, you could definitely still get in trouble for that. But in all seriousness, yeah, the steering is so light. It's light to the point that the car actually feels disconnected to the steering wheel. I'm just turning and the car's turning. There's no feel at all. And I'm just quickly gonna switch to sport just to see if it's an instant difference. Oh yes, night and day difference. And that's obviously a bit softer and very soft. Yep. Alright. So between the three, definitely noticeable. Comfort is way too soft for my liking. It really feels disconnected to the car. I'd probably keep it on sport at this point in time, but you guys know I love my sports cars. Now that was eco, that was us stepping on the pedal, very slow as expected. Let's switch to standard. So if I go eco, so if I go 60 and I plant my foot down to go to the speed limit, there's a bit of a lag and then it's just a gradual push. If I go standard, it reacts obviously a little faster, but it's still not to the point where it feels extremely fast. And I'll switch to sport. I like all the sounds, it's actually pretty cool. Okay, so at 60 k's or 50 something, plant our foot. So yes, absolutely it is the most responsive. If I have to compare it to some of the other cars we've driven recently, you know, if I had to put my foot down all of a sudden, I would say the delay is actually quite minimal. So, you know, I'm driving at the moment. Let me show you guys. So if I let go and I slow down to say 50 something kilometers an hour, and let's just put our foot down. So yes, there's a minor delay, but it is still quite responsive. And if my foot is already on the pedal and then I step on it, it's pretty much no lag at all. Let me just double check that in eco. Yes, there is a lag, minimal lag. So coming out of that roundabout, it definitely did make me feel like there was a bit of lag on standard mode. We'll have to try sports mode as well. But overall, the settings obviously do what they say. In terms of brake feel, that's probably the one thing that we haven't used too much. Now in terms of brake feel, if I hit comfort, it just slows down gradually. It's not jerky at all. If I go to standard, you do feel that it bites, I guess, faster, harder. And on sport, it's just extremely sensitive. Like one little tap, the car lunges forward to come to a stop. So ultimately, it's up to you what you feel like your fine balance is. Sport obviously is for more spirited driving, definitely. If you want to feel like a good everyday car, I'd keep it on standard, to be honest, for the brake pedal feel. But in terms of power steering, I think it's ultimately how connected you want to feel to the road. Standard probably for most people. If you want to feel a bit more connected to the road and you like your cars a little bit more, you like the steering feel, go to Sport. I personally think you should just avoid Comfort. It really feels like you've disconnected from the car, and I don't know, me personally, I don't like that feeling. So, as you would expect, my favourite mode is of course a sports mode. Power steering in Sport, the power response in Sport, regen, X-pedal, brake feel, Sport, everything Sport. It just feels obviously the most connected to the road. It's got the least lag or the least delay in terms of pedal feel and everything like that, so that's my go-to. As I said, I feel like the Comfort's a bit too soft for my liking, and everyone's probably going to go through just the standard. But look, overall, summarising my thoughts, I think in terms of driving, I think it's pretty well composed. It's not as wavy as some of the other cars I've recently driven. There absolutely still is body roll that you'd feel left and right, don't get me wrong. It is a higher car off the ground, so it is expected. And the car isn't blistering quick at 6.2 seconds to 100. However, in saying that, it is rear drive, and it does feel, I guess, quite engaging as you're driving through. You can definitely, even in this model here, only having 210 kilowatts, when you are stepping on the pedal and you're going, you do feel the car as a rear drive car. You do feel the push as you go. So definitely something that I think is a positive in terms of driving dynamics and how it feels to drive this car. Alright, so let's talk about summarizing everything. Let's start the wrap up for this video with the Xpeng G6. So overall, in terms of the size, fantastic size, no complaints from me. I think it's good brute. I think it is a shame that there is no Frunk, but what can you do? You can't really change that. Perhaps there's some aftermarket storage stuff that you can buy if you really want, but ultimately it wasn't designed for one, so my view is why try to change that. Charging wise, very, very, very good. I didn't have any issues charging at a fast charger on the trip down to Canberra, so that's always a plus. And we did successfully test this at our V4 supercharger, so no complaints from me at all. As I said, size of the vehicle on space wise, really, really good. And interior space and comfort and everything, I think is really, really good. I love the fact that these seats are on the plushier side. They're not as stiff as on our Model Y seats, so I'm really comfortable. There's also ventilated seats, which is also a very big plus. My wife loves the passenger seat because it feels like there's lots of space at the front. You don't get the glove box, but you know, going down where the firewall is or the bottom of it, it doesn't just perk up straight away, so you're not bending your ankles. It really feels more flat, so she was really happy with that. And you know, space wise in the back, the kids are pretty happy, so no complaints from us there. Driving wise, I've just gone through. As I said, the comfort is way too soft for my liking, and I would say stick to sport mode for anyone who loves cars, but it does drive fairly well. I haven't gone through twisties, so I can't tell you guys how good or bad this is if you were to go in a higher speed zone, but there is some form of body roll that you do feel as you're turning corners faster than what you normally would. Either way though, as a rear-wheel drive car, I think it drives fairly well, so realistically you will not be disappointed in the drive. And the pedal lag, honestly, on sports mode is fairly minimal. It's probably the least of the cars that I've driven recently. It's definitely not close to the Tesla. The Tesla still is at the top for pedal response, but it is getting up there. It is getting up there. And then the final thing, I guess, is price. It's bang for your buck. Sub 60k for the top spec plus your on-road costs. It being, say, your $64,000 drive away price for the stuff you get. As I've said already, it's bang for buck. It's a good buy. It's a good proposition. The only thing obviously you need to understand that you're taking a risk for if you are buying this car is that it is a brand new, or it's a new brand coming into Australia, so we'll have to see how it goes. Either way, if you've watched till the entire thing, thank you so much for your support. Thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you to my coffee supporters and anyone else that has enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy this video, please make sure you do give the video a like, subscribe for more content. It really is going to help my channel grow a long way. And as always, if you have any questions, drop it in the comment box below. Stay tuned for more content. Thank you again, TrueEV/Xpeng, for this media loan. I thoroughly enjoyed driving this car for the week. And that's about it. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.